alpaca or cashmere? Which one's warmer? Today I'm going to test and find out. So there's a couple of key differences between alpaca and cashmere as fibres. If we look at this image taken under a microscope, there's a whole range of fibres there, starting with sort of coarse normal wool on the left. Alpaca's this one here, and cashmere is this one here. So we notice that cashmere is very fine versus a lot of the other fibres, and this is one of the things that contributes to its softness and comfort and luxury nature. However, alpaca does have a little trick up its sleeve, and that's what makes it potentially special and potentially a high performer in insulation tests. And that is that effectively its fibres are hollow with an air gap inside, and of course this is reputedly something that should drive better performance and insulative powers, all adding up to make happy alpacas living at cold in the altitude of the Andes Mountains. So today's test uses the standard approach I've used for before. Essentially we have 3 cups. These are all filled with 200 millilitres of hot water. They're also all capped to prevent evaporative heat loss. Then each cup is cinched with a clothes peg, and the insulative material in periodic temperature readings are taken to see how much heat energy is maintained in the water in the cup. This is then repeated multiple times to give an average test result. So lots of temperature readings later, the results are in. Now we have a clear winner, and that was the alpaca. So the alpaca retained 10% more heat energy in the water than the control or the standard wool blanket insulated cup. Cashmere also outperformed the standard wool blanket, but only by 2% this time. So based on my test results so far, what does this mean? Well, it means that alpaca sort of tops the pile for natural fabrics for insulation, largely thanks to its hollow fibres, I expect. The other thing that those hollow fibres help is obviously reduce weight. So in terms of grams per square metre, the alpaca weighs in at less than half the standard army surplus wool blanket. Now, before I go and run out and buy an alpaca blanket, there's a few things to bear in mind. Firstly, it is much more expensive. The army surplus blanket I use cost I don't know, £15 or so, £15-20 on eBay. This alpaca scarf was something like £30-40 for just the scarf, so it is an expensive choice. Alpaca is also really lovely and soft on the skin, which is something in its favour, but of course it's probably a bit less hard wearing than a sort of a heavy thick army woolen blanket as well. So something else to bear in mind, especially if you're roughing it in the woods or sort of around dirty or smoky conditions. But there's a lot more tests, a lot more fabrics to test. Please see the blog link in the description for a league table of the results so far. And I'm also planning some wet wool tests soon, especially to test the claims around heat generation of wool when wet.